Yes.
Things like that. And as an artist, I think you have to connect with the answer to these things. What is your position in that?
So, very good question. And it is very important to don't get stuck in like an only aesthetic part of art, which I adore. I love art being aesthetic, and I think aesthetic can be philosophical and really have a statement in itself that says it all without too much of a message. But I also think at the same time that art can be a vehicle to express civic movement. And in that sense, the thing that is really near to our hearts is conflict and sort of the well-being of the public and all those things. Because of its public that it reaches, it can really contribute to the dialogue in a huge sense, because in many aspects we are being censored. Let's say on social media with the news feed that is kind of like, as you know, in like the last 5 years, Meta was directing certain rhetorics or certain dialogue to the public, and I think art is way more free in doing so. That, as I said, it doesn't mean that it only needs to be activistic, but I really believe that you can address those urgent matters and really civic situations, really social situations in a sense, and address them in the artwork.
Does it change anything? I mean, in a way that you go to an exhibition, you see an artwork, it's lovely, or it can reflect to something, and then you go home and do something differently, or maybe not, you're just thinking about things.
Yes, I think art can be many things. So art can be a sort of expression or a sort of way of coping. The potential of art, you know, being in the now, is very much there as an artist. And I believe, as you see in Dadaism or Situationism, even Art Deco and many other movements, the contemporary movement in art is an issue where art is becoming sort of like a commodity. Art is almost like an aesthetic sort of fashionable thing, which I love. I follow that, and it has been always. But because of its dominance and its relation to the world being capitalized on, commercializing spaces, physical spaces or digital spaces, I believe that art is also losing the potential as referred to Dadaism, Situationism, or other movements in sort of the civic field more.
You should have meeting in Luxembourg.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you had the Curator, the vending machine, I might say. So basically it's a box, you put some money on that and you get an artwork, but you don't know before because I think it's labeled and you have a nice printing on it, but okay, it's made by someone or what?
Not even.
No?
No, not even.
You don't have the name, okay.
No.
So I think it's a good idea because you don't know. Now, if you eliminate, you know, the big names, start problems. For example, if you're talking about Jeff Koons, yeah, okay, I want to have a Jeff Koons rabbit. Not because I like it, but oh, it's Jeff Koons, or I want to have the banana from now, it's because that's the famous artwork.
Yeah.
But then if you eliminate that and you just put something what you don't know, I think it's a good idea.
What the machine basically is, at the point of the, I'd say the visitor, the public, approaches the machine. So what we did was we kind of like symbolized sort of dictatorial structure that capitalism is becoming or has become. Towards the singularity of the point of no return, where capitalism basically is a giant monster that just is lost touch with humanity, is a destructive force of greed and self-fulfilling kind of disaster in a sense. The machine, for that reason, is basically symbolizing an automated sort of sterile, in a sense, thing. In an artistic space where normally you see the flamboyance or the expression of the artist and the flamboyance of the artwork, but it's all been disguised, right? Even though the works that are in there, I'll come back maybe to that later, are fantastic. Very colorful, very bright, very lively, original, limited edition.
Yeah, but you don't know.
You don't know. So, as I said earlier, art has become kind of like a commodity, and like, I mean, there's always things that are outside the idea of making just a commodity, even though commodities are fine. But because of that reason, you now only have a product. You have a product that doesn't say what it is. And in that sense, it symbolizes the capitalistic motif, which they just push their product on the public, and they manipulate the public like, oh, this is okay. Yeah, just ignore that it's like 30 grams of sugar in 100 milliliters. Just ignore that. It's like, yeah, you can have diabetes, but just ignore it, you know.
It's marketing, you know.
Exactly.
When you want to buy a phone, and immediately pops up some company names.
Yeah,
because they
exactly.
are the biggest marketing.
Exactly, and I understand why it's a competitive world, but those things tie into the machine. So a reaction on art becoming a commodity, but also the world being affected by capitalist singularity. And in that sense, I believe that the artist, as I just said, like I believe that art should be given in any education for at least 2 hours. I believe that art can contribute in, you know, infusing that kind of precarity, that kind of situation with moral and kind of like humanity, and really destabilize the capitalistic greed machine, I believe. So this is what it symbolizes in a sense. Also, it is an artwork. So it is an artwork where I, as an artist, step away from the artist, and the production budget I give to as a decentralized situation, give to the collective that we ask if they want to participate. So it is also an experiment.
But I think you also wanted to play with the curatorial things. So if you are selecting some artists and you put their work into that box, and then I can, I'm not sure if I can select which artwork. No, yeah.
The machine decides everything, so that's the symbol.
Yeah.
You are, you know, the machine will decide what you get. That's the symbol of capitalism, kind of like. Do you really have a choice? Do you really have healthy food? Do you really have good product? Is a car really good? Yeah? Is it really good in all senses?
I think it's a typical middle class thing that you want to have an artwork just because the wall is too wide. I should have a Van Gogh there, and then you go to IKEA and buy a poster. And then, okay.
For sure, like the masses, that's why the introduction of art is deliberately put out in the educational system. I think everybody kind of like elevates towards art. They all love that. Maybe it's graffiti for some people or whatever it is, which is positive, you know. Expression is positive. But as you know, art is like super dense. It's like one of my favorite people explained it as an onion. So you have the top layer and you go to the core, and it's all these layers that takes years to understand, and you know, it's like not something that you just do. And also technical part in expression, of course.
Should we talk about then the aesthetics of the vending machine?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like I think from outside it could be a normal vending machine. On the side you have with big letters the name that okay, this is a curator thing, and then I think it's already confused a lot of people with that. But what is curator here? There's nobody here.
Yeah.
Basically, and you mentioned that already in the interview that you the machine will decide.
Yes.
But I think it's in contrary, because if you want something curated, and then you say that okay, the machine decides, then who are you as an artist?
I kind of symbolize the sort of like automatization that is becoming apparent in the real life. Everything is automized. You want to contact maybe Facebook, it's impossible, but because everything is with bots. Your questions are already, you know, laid out, and the answers are already prepared, so there's not too many people that you need to hire for those jobs, and it's kind of like a corrupt kind of system in my opinion. So there's nobody really accountable for things, automatization. So that's very important to kind of symbolize in the machine. But then, to answer your question, to kind of like step away from or use the curatorial kind of practice. Where is the position of the curatorial practice in my work? I don't consider myself as a curator at all, like not even a little bit. But I did like a lot of exhibitions which I curated in a sense. But they're all in the same idea of like, okay, if art or the artist position is under the influence of, you know, image and branding, so you have a good branding or a good heritage and all those things, the artist becomes claiming a space. And that claiming of a space, I kind of like research and I experiment with decentralizing it. So in a sense, it's like, you know, you're very influenced by other, you know, artists, which is good. I believe in that, and you should be influenced by other people's contributions and stuff. That's social, that's very good. But at the same time, it has like a situation where you can be opportunistic and say like, okay, that's cool, I'm going to do that. And it's that sort of thing that drives competitivity, and I want to react towards. So for that reason, I decentralize, and I, instead of, let's say, using the aesthetics of these super talented artists that are at the machines curated, I give them the free voice of doing that as kind of like that experiment in competitivity towards collectivity, cooperation.
For me, it's always a big question how a curator works and how should work. Because there was an exhibition not a long time ago in Central, in Brussels, where there was the only criteria was that the artist should live in Brussels. That was the only thing.
Yeah.
And then I think more than 200 artists exhibited.
Yeah.
And well, there was a big difference on first of the size of the work, the quality of the work, or the interest of the work, and the thematic as well, of course. And then you have the big institutions like Tate-Modern, Normal, when you have only just one person like San Francisco, slide only.
Yep.
But then you really concentrate on this one artist, and you don't concentrate on the 199 other artists who also want to be there.
That's what is very important within the machine. This sort of institutional sort of mechanism, which I adore. You know, I love to see a Warhol exhibition. I think it's very necessary. Warhol did contribute with insane, innovative ideas, and of course everything that goes around that. But yeah, at the same time, because of that sort of institutional cyclism of recycling these top artists that really deserve their spot in a sense as well, a lot of contemporary dialogue really disappears. And that's one of, I'll tell you real quick, because this is really important for me. Like, as you see, a lot of people have like academic sort of education, and it's funny because academic education, they focus on everything that was the avant-garde from, let's say, 1890 till now. All those avant-gardistic sort of explorations and stuff. But then they get their degree and everything, but they forget that the avant-garde is still alive. And the avant-garde now, they don't talk about it. There is no connection with this contemporary avant-garde. And that's my biggest quarrel, because I love everything of art history, but the contemporary dialogue is not is not supported, which is totally insane. So that's the motive of doing the exhibitions previously. Those were the 10-year project that I did before Curator Machine. And Curator Machine, because even in that it's a competitive really thing, and I had to use my own artistic practice to tell that story. I had to, because it was so competitive that you could not talk about that because of the academic dialogue.
Thank you very much for the discussion.
You're welcome.